Jennifer Parker noticed that her 9-year-old daughter began to shake every time she passed through the lobby of the condominium in Miami. For 8 weeks in a row, the girl showed a fear that she could not hide. The doorman, Kevin, has always been considered the most beloved employee and confidant of the families for 6 years. But Emma began to beg to use the back entrance, the one that no one used. "Mommy," he said, "it's our special secret," the girl whispered, with eyes full of fear when questioned. What Jennifer discovered on security cameras made her blood run cold. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back a few weeks. 38-year-old Jennifer Parker was a dedicated nurse at a Coral Gables hospital. As Emma's single mother, she has always had a very close relationship with her daughter. The two were more than mother and daughter. They were best friends, confidants. Emma was 9 years old and a cheerful, lively and confident girl. She loved to play in the playground of the residential condominium where they lived, a safe and familiar place. The Sunset Towers was one of those buildings where everyone knew each other, where families greeted each other in the hallways and children played together without worries. 45-year-old Kevin Mitchell had been the doorman at the condominium for 6 years. Everyone knew him and trusted him. He was known for his constant friendliness, always with a wide smile on his face. The kids loved him because he always had little gifts in store, colorful stickers, mints, funny keychains. Mothers praised her dedication and affection. Jennifer also thought Kevin was a wonderful person, an exemplary employee who treated everyone with respect and attention. This is the story of how a mother's maternal instinct saved not only her daughter, but revealed a dark secret that no one could have imagined. You'll discover how small signs, which most would ignore, became the key to unlocking a disturbing truth. In this video, you'll see how one mother trusted her maternal instinct even when everyone around said she was overreacting. Every detail here shows how a woman's courage and determination can change everything in a matter of hours. And more importantly, you will understand that protecting our children goes beyond love. It requires attention, vigilance, and the courage to act even when no one believes in you. Jennifer was about to discover something that would completely change the way she viewed the security of the building where she lived. That quiet mother-daughter routine was about to be interrupted by a disturbing truth. If you've made it this far, it's because real history interests you. Help this content reach more people. Leave the like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell. Every morning, Jennifer and Emma left at 7:30 in the morning for school and work. The routine was always the same. Jennifer woke up at 6, prepared breakfast, woke Emma with affection, and together they got ready for another day. The Sunset Towers condominium was in an upscale area of Coral Gables, surrounded by trees, with a manicured garden and a colorful playground that Emma loved. Kevin always greeted them with a wide smile, holding the lobby door open for them. "Good morning, ladies. How are our favorite girls today?" he would say in that lively, warm voice that made everyone feel welcome. Emma used to run up to him excitedly, hopping down the marble corridor of the lobby. She loved the colorful stickers that Kevin kept especially for the children in the building. He had a small glass jar behind the concierge counter, always full of stickers of cartoon characters, shiny animals, golden stars. "Today I have a special one for you, Emma," Kevin would say as he carefully chose a sticker. The girl smiled from ear to ear, thanked her, and stuck the sticker on the cover of the notebook. Sometimes he would also give him a mint or strawberry candy, those wrapped in colored paper. Jennifer thought that was adorable. She thought to herself how lucky she was to live in a place where the employee was so dedicated and affectionate with the families. The Sunset Towers condominium was a safe place, a community where everyone knew and trusted each other. There were about 40 families living there, most with small children. The mothers gathered on the playground in the afternoons, chatting while their children played. Jennifer worked long shifts at the hospital, often leaving home at 7 in the morning and returning only at 7 at night. But she knew that Emma was protected in this familiar environment. When Emma came home from school around 3 in the afternoon, she would walk past the gatehouse, greet Kevin, pick up the mail he had sorted for each apartment, and go home. A neighbor on the same floor, Mrs. Martha, always took a look at Emma until Jennifer got home from work. It was a quiet, predictable, safe routine, or at least that's what Jennifer believed. Kevin knew each resident by name. I knew who had a dog, who received a lot of orders, who liked to receive the newspaper in the morning. He helped the elderly carry the groceries, held the door for those who had their hands full, received deliveries, and guarded them carefully. He had an impressive memory. "Mrs. Parker, a letter arrived for you yesterday. I kept it here safely," he said whenever he saw Jennifer. The children in the building adored him. In addition to the stickers and candies, Kevin sometimes organized little pranks in the lobby when it wasn't too busy. It showed simple magic tricks, such as taking a coin from behind the children's ears. They laughed, clapped, asked him to repeat it. The parents watched from afar, amused, mentally thanking them for having such an attentive employee. Jennifer remembered once, about 4 months ago, when Emma tripped in the hallway and scraped her knee. Kevin quickly made his way to the small first aid cabinet behind the concierge counter, grabbed a butterfly-drawn band-aid, and helped clean the wound. Emma cried a little, but Kevin distracted her with a funny story about a dog he had when he was a child. The girl came out smiling, her knee bandaged, holding a new sticker. "He's so good with the kids," Jennifer remarked to another mom in the building that afternoon. "We're very lucky," the neighbor agreed. It was true. In many condominiums, the employees were distant, cold. They only did the mandatory work. Kevin went further. He created connections, remembered the children's birthdays, asked how the test had been at school. Jennifer trusted him completely. When she needed to get off quickly to get something from the car, and Emma was playing on the playground, she would ask Kevin to keep an eye on it. "Of course, Mrs. Parker, you can let me take care of it," he would reply promptly. And Jennifer went up calmly, knowing that her daughter was in good hands. The lobby of the Sunset Towers was large and well lit. It had beige marble floors, walls decorated with large mirrors and landscape paintings. The concierge counter was right at the entrance, facing the revolving glass door. From there, Kevin could see who came and went, control access, receive visitors. There was also a small mailroom next door, where the numbered bins of each apartment were located. And further back, near the elevators, an area with comfortable sofas, where residents sometimes waited for taxis or guests. Everything seemed perfect. Jennifer and Emma's routine was quiet, predictable, and safe. But everything began to change on a Tuesday in September. Jennifer noticed that Emma took longer than usual to get down to the car. Usually, when Jennifer honked in the garage, Emma would show up in less than 2 minutes. But that morning, 5 minutes passed, then 6. Jennifer began to get impatient. He parked the car and went up to the lobby to see what was happening. When she finally saw Emma, the girl was getting out of the elevator. But something was different. Emma was pale, with the color of her face lighter than usual. His hands trembled slightly as he held the strap of his school bag. She walked slowly, looking at the ground. "Is everything okay, honey?" asked Jennifer worriedly as she approached and adjusted her daughter's seatbelt in the back seat of the car. Emma took a few seconds to answer. "Yes, Mommy, I'm just a little cold," the girl replied, looking away, fixing her eyes on the window. Jennifer frowned. Cold? But it was a hot summer day in Miami, with temperatures of 85 degrees Fahrenheit. The sun shone brightly in the cloudless blue sky. Jennifer felt a tightness in her chest, but she tried to push away that bad thought. Maybe Emma was just nervous about the math test, she thought to herself as she drove towards school. During the journey, which was usually full of lively conversations about what they were going to do for the weekend, or about some cartoon Emma had watched, the girl remained silent. Jennifer looked in the rearview mirror from time to time, watching her daughter. Emma had her eyes fixed on the landscape that passed by the window, but she seemed to see nothing. Her face was still pale, and she bit her lower lip, a habit she had when she was nervous. "Emma, are you sure everything is okay? You look worried," Jennifer insisted, trying to keep her tone of voice calm and welcoming. "I'm fine, Mom. I promise. It's just the proof," Emma replied quickly, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Jennifer dropped Emma off at school, gave her daughter a kiss on the forehead, and wished her good luck on the test. "Anything, call me, okay?" he said before Emma got out of the car. The girl waved and entered the school, her backpack heavy on her back. Throughout the working day at the hospital, Jennifer couldn't get that scene out of her head. Emma's pallor, her hands trembling, her distant manner, but she tried to convince herself that she was exaggerating. "Children get nervous with tests, it's normal," she repeated to herself as she attended to patients, applied medications, filled out medical records. When she returned home that night, Emma was already at home, doing her homework on the living room table. "So, how was the test?" Jennifer asked as she took off her shoes and left her bag on the couch. "That was well, Mommy," Emma replied, without taking her eyes off the notebook. His tone of voice was monotonous, lacking the excitement he usually had when talking about school. Jennifer prepared dinner, tried to strike up a conversation, but Emma remained quiet, answering only with monosyllables. They ate in silence. After dinner, Emma asked to go to bed earlier, saying she was tired. Jennifer thought it was strange because Emma usually liked to watch a cartoon before bed, but she didn't insist. Maybe her daughter really was tired. Over the next few days, Jennifer began to observe better, and that's when she noticed changes that she had previously ignored. Emma, who always ran excitedly to the entrance when they left the house, now walked slowly, shuffling her feet down the hallway. She didn't jump anymore. She didn't smile when she saw Kevin. Every time Kevin appeared at the entrance, Emma stopped walking for a second. Jennifer noticed that her daughter's hand was holding hers too tightly, her little fingers squeezing with an intensity that hurt. It was as if Emma was holding on to something solid so she wouldn't fall. Jennifer tried to talk to her daughter several times. "Do you like Kevin, honey? He's always so nice to you," she said one morning as they walked to the car. Emma only nodded, but her eyes showed something different. Fear. A fear that Jennifer had never seen before in her daughter's eyes. "Did he give you any stickers today?" Jennifer asked, trying to sound casual. Emma shook her head in the negative and quickened her pace. "I don't want any more stickers, Mom. Can I go straight to the car?" the girl asked, in a tone of voice that sounded almost like a plea. One morning, Jennifer witnessed a scene that made her uneasy. Kevin called Emma to the concierge counter. "Come here, Emma. I have a special surprise for you today," he said with that wide smile, beckoning the girl to come closer. Emma froze for 3 seconds. His feet seemed to be glued to the ground. Jennifer saw her daughter's face turn even paler. Then, slowly, as if each step required enormous effort, Emma walked over to the counter. Jennifer watched from afar as she pretended to play with her cell phone. Kevin was showing Emma something, speaking softly, leaning over the counter. The girl looked down, her shoulders tense, her hands squeezing the strap of her backpack. There was no smile on her face, there was no excitement, just that scared look, that rigid body. When Emma returned, Jennifer asked, "What did he give you?" The girl opened her hand and showed a pink heart-shaped keychain. "He said it's special," Emma murmured, her voice so low Jennifer almost didn't hear it. "Did you like it?" Jennifer asked. Emma shrugged her shoulders and put the keychain quickly in her backpack pocket, as if she wanted to hide it. That word, special, began to appear more and more, and Jennifer began to realize that whenever Emma wore it, there was a tone of discomfort, of heaviness. It was not a word spoken with joy. It was a whispered word, loaded with something Jennifer still couldn't identify. If this revelation is arousing in you a deep curiosity about what really happened, comment right now, "I want more stories," and please leave your like on this video. After 3 weeks, Emma's behavior became impossible to ignore. The girl began to make a request that left Jennifer deeply confused and worried. "Mummy, can we go from behind today?" "Just today, please," Emma begged every morning, referring to the side entrance of the building, the one that gave direct access to the service elevator. Jennifer didn't understand why her daughter was making that strange request. The side entrance was used only by employees and for deliveries. It was farther away, less illuminated, and meant a longer path to the car. But the tone of despair in the girl's voice left Jennifer with a lump in her throat. "Why do you want to go from behind, honey? It's much further," Jennifer tried to argue. Emma looked away, bit her lip, and insisted, "Please, Mummy, please." There were tears forming in her eyes. Real tears. Jennifer, not quite understanding what was happening, sometimes gave in, and when they gave in, Emma let out a sigh of relief so deep that it seemed as if she had held her breath for hours. But other times, when Jennifer was in a hurry or thought she was overdoing it by fulfilling all of her daughter's requests, they would walk through the main entrance. And on those days, Jennifer would see Emma close her eyes for a second before crossing the lobby. The girl held her mother's hand tightly, walked fast, with her head down. Kevin always greeted, "Good morning, Emma." "Good morning, Mrs. Parker." Jennifer answered politely, but Emma said nothing. He only waved lightly and quickened his pace. One night, 3.5 weeks after that strange first Tuesday, Emma woke up screaming from a nightmare. Jennifer jumped out of bed and ran to her daughter's room. Emma was sitting on the bed in a cold sweat, the covers thrown on the floor, her face wet with tears. "What's wrong, my love? Tell me what scared you," Jennifer said as she hugged her daughter tightly, feeling her small body tremble against hers. Emma cried loudly, sobbed, clung to her mother as if she were drowning and Jennifer was the only lifeline. "Nothing, Mommy. Just a bad dream," Emma managed to say between sobs. She hid her face on her mother's shoulder, trembling. Jennifer caressed her daughter's hair, making gentle movements, trying to calm her down. "What was it a dream about, honey? You can tell me? Dreams are not real?" But Emma shook her head, refusing to speak. "I can't remember, Mum. I just know that I was very afraid." Jennifer cradled her in her arms for long minutes until Emma's breathing calmed down. She took her daughter to her own bed and stayed by her side until she fell asleep again. But Emma took a long time to fall asleep. He kept turning from side to side, his eyes open in the darkness of the room. Jennifer, lying next to her, watched every movement, every sigh. Her mother's heart was tight. Something was deeply wrong, she knew. But what? What was happening to your daughter? The next morning, Jennifer tried again. She prepared Emma's favorite breakfast, pancakes with strawberry sauce and banana pieces. He sat at the table in front of his daughter and held her little hands with affection. "Emma, dear, you know you can tell me anything, don't you? Anything, really. Mommy is here to protect you, always." Emma looked at her mother with those big, tearful eyes. For a moment, Jennifer thought she was going to talk. Emma's mouth opened, as if the words were ready to come out, but then the girl shook her head quickly and went back to eating the pancakes in silence. Jennifer felt frustration grow inside her, mixed with a deep anguish. What was stopping your daughter from talking? What was Emma hiding? If you're here so far, it's because this story is stirring you. What follows will show the exact moment when everything changed. Therefore, at the end of this video, we will reveal the complete outcome with details that few know. Stay with me until the end. It was on a Thursday afternoon, exactly 4 weeks after that strange first Tuesday, that everything really changed. Jennifer was able to leave the hospital early because she had switched shifts with a colleague. Normally she only got home at 7 in the evening, but that day she managed to leave at 4:30. She drove faster than usual, eager to get home and see Emma. Maybe they could do something together, watch a movie, talk calmly. Perhaps without the pressure of time, Emma would finally open up and tell what was bothering her. Upon entering the lobby of the building, Jennifer stopped halfway. Her heart missed a beat. There, near the mailroom, a more secluded area of the lobby, away from the direct view of those entering through the main door, was Kevin, and Emma was with him. Kevin's hand was on the girl's shoulder. He was leaning over, speaking softly, very close to her ear. Emma was completely rigid, her body hard as a statue. She stared at the floor, her fists clenched at her sides, so tight that her knuckles were white. Jennifer felt a wave of heat rise through her body. It started at the feet and went up quickly, taking over the chest, the face. The maternal instinct, the one that every mother has, screamed inside her that something was deeply, terribly wrong. She approached quickly, her steady footsteps echoing off the marble floor. "Emma, let's go home now," she called in a firm voice, louder than usual. His voice echoed through the empty lobby. Kevin pulled away immediately, taking his hand off Emma's shoulder as if he had been shocked. He straightened up and opened that wide smile, the same as always. "Ah, Mrs. Parker, nice to see you earlier today." He was just showing Emma the new stickers that had arrived. "Look, there are even unicorn ones that she loves," he said calmly, pointing to the glass jar on the counter. But Jennifer barely heard what he was saying. His eyes were fixed on Emma, on his daughter's pale face, in the wide eyes, in that look, a look that Jennifer would never forget for the rest of her life. It was dread, absolute dread. Emma ran to her mother and grabbed her hand so tightly that Jennifer felt pain. The girl's icy little hands trembled. "Come on, Mommy, let's go," Emma whispered, pulling her mother toward the elevator. Jennifer nodded. "Good afternoon, Kevin," she said coldly without looking at him. He held Emma firmly and walked towards the elevator. She could feel Kevin's eyes on her back. When she pressed the button and the elevator doors closed, Jennifer looked down and saw tears streaming down her daughter's face. "Emma, what happened? What did he do?" asked Jennifer, kneeling to stand at the girl's height. Emma shook her head, tears falling faster. "Nothing, Mom, nothing. He was just showing me the stickers." But her voice was breaking, and Jennifer knew, with every fiber of her being, that it wasn't true. When they arrived at the apartment, Jennifer locked the door, dropped her purse on the sofa, and took Emma to the bedroom. He sat his daughter on the bed and knelt in front of her. "Honey, you need to tell me what's going on. I saw how you were. I saw the fear in his eyes. Please trust me." Emma began to cry louder, the sobs shaking her small body. "I want to tell you, Mom, I really want to. But he said it's a secret of ours and that no one can know." Jennifer's heart raced. "Who said that, my love? Who asked you to keep it a secret?" But even as she asked the question, Jennifer already knew the answer. He knew it in his heart of hearts. Emma shook her head quickly, so scared that her hair flew around her face. "I can't talk, Mom. He said you're going to be sad with me. He said I did wrong by accepting the gifts and that you will punish me." Jennifer felt like she had been punched in the stomach. Gifts, secrets, manipulation. It all started to make sense in a horrible and terrifying way. She hugged her daughter tightly, feeling Emma's warm tears wetting her blouse. "I'll never, ever be sad with you, honey. You didn't do anything wrong, nothing. And I'm not going to punish you. I promise. But I need you to tell me what he's doing. I need to protect you." Jennifer whispered the words with all the firmness and love she could muster, but Emma kept shaking her head. The fear was too great. The manipulation had been too deep. Inside, Jennifer was panicking. His whole body trembled. The mind accelerated, trying to process what was happening. Kevin, the dear Doorman, the employee everyone trusted. She was doing something with her daughter, something that made her so terrified that she couldn't even talk about it. If this story is already changing the way you see maternal protection, like, subscribe, and activate the bell in this video so that this message reaches other mothers. That night, Jennifer cooked Emma's favorite dinner. Macaroni and cheese, very creamy, just the way the girl loved. He tried to create a relaxed, safe environment. He put on soft music playing softly, lit a scented vanilla candle on the living room table. He wanted Emma to feel at ease, protected, loved. After they ate in silence, Jennifer took her daughter to her room and sat next to her on the bed. He held Emma's little hands with affection, looking her right in the eyes. "Honey, you know you can tell me anything, don't you? Mommy is here to protect you, always. No matter what it is, I'll be on your side." Emma began to cry softly. Tears ran down her face, wetting the pillow. "I want to tell you, Mom. I want it so much. But he said it's a secret of ours and that no one can know. He said it's special between us." The word special again. Jennifer felt a shiver run down her spine. "Who said that, my love? Who asked you to keep it a secret?" She needed to hear it from her daughter's mouth, even though she already knew the answer. Jennifer's heart raced, beating so hard she could hear the sound in her own ears. Emma looked at her mother, her eyes red and swollen. For a long moment it seemed like she was going to speak. Her lips quivered. But then she shook her head quickly, so desperately that her hair came loose from her ponytail. "I can't talk, Mom. I can't. He said you're going to be sad with me. He said it was my fault because I accepted the gifts and that people won't believe me. He said they'll think I'm making up history." Jennifer felt her throat tighten. Emma's words were like stabs. Psychological manipulation, guilt, fear. Kevin was using all the classic tactics of a predator, making an innocent child believe that he was guilty, making her afraid to tell, isolating her. Jennifer hugged her daughter with all the strength she had, feeling Emma's hot tears wetting her blouse. "You are not to blame for anything, my love. Nothing. Accepting a gift is not wrong, and I will always, always believe in you. Always. It doesn't matter what anyone says." She stroked Emma's hair, making soft, repetitive movements that used to soothe the girl when she was a baby. "You are the most important thing in my life. I love you more than anything, and I'll protect you. But for that, I need to know what's going on." Emma sobbed against her mother's breast. He touches my hair, and on my shoulder, and hugs me very tightly, and he takes pictures of me with his cell phone. He said that I am the most beautiful girl in the building and that I am special. But I don't like it, Mom. I'm afraid. He gets very close and says strange things." Jennifer closed her eyes, fighting the wave of nausea that rose through her stomach. Photos, ringtones, inappropriate words. Every word that came out of Emma's mouth confirmed any mother's worst nightmare. "Did he hurt you physically, honey? Did it touch you somewhere that made you feel uncomfortable?" Jennifer asked in a trembling voice, praying inwardly that the answer would be no. Emma shook her head. "No, Mom, but he always wants me to go to the mailroom when no one is around. And there he is very close to me. And he gives me gifts and says I can't tell anyone. And one day he said that if I told him, bad things would happen, that you were going to lose your job, or that we were going to have to leave the building." Jennifer felt the rage explode inside her like a volcano. Kevin's anger. Anger at herself for not having noticed it sooner. Anger at the whole situation, but he couldn't show it. Not now. Emma needed calm, security. "You were very brave to tell me this, my love. Very brave. And I promise that nothing bad will happen to us. You're safe. Mommy will solve this." Jennifer whispered the words as she cradled her daughter in her arms. Emma finally relaxed a little, exhausted from crying. He fell asleep right there, on his mother's lap, his face swollen and the sobs still shaking his body from time to time. Jennifer stayed up all night. He laid Emma on the bed, covered her with her favorite blanket, the one with the star drawings, and sat down in the chair beside the bed. He watched his daughter sleep, saw Emma move restlessly, murmuring incomprehensible things during her dreams. All the pieces began to fall into place. Emma's trembling every time they passed through the entrance. The refusal to go through the main entrance. Desperate requests to use the side entrance. The nightmares. The red eyes. Fear. The secret she couldn't tell. It all made sense now. A horrible and terrifying sense. But how was it possible? Was Kevin, a man everyone had trusted for so long, doing this? An employee who has always seemed so dedicated, so caring, so trustworthy. The other mothers in the building always praised the doorman. He is so attentive to the children. A love of a person, they said in conversations on the playground. Jennifer questioned herself. Was he going crazy? Was he seeing a problem where there was none? Maybe Kevin really was just a kind employee and Emma was misinterpreting things. Children sometimes exaggerate, don't they? But then he remembered Emma's look that afternoon, of the absolute dread in his daughter's eyes when he met her with Kevin near the mailroom. He remembered the trembling hands, of tears, of the words Emma had just confessed. Ringtones, photos, secrets, threats. No, she wasn't going crazy. That was real. It was happening. And as a mother, as a protector of her daughter, Jennifer knew she couldn't ignore it. It didn't matter what others thought. It didn't matter if Kevin had an impeccable reputation for 6 years. Emma's safety came first. Always. The next morning, as soon as Emma woke up and got ready for school, Jennifer made a decision. I wouldn't let that continue. He needed to act, but he needed proof. He needed to be absolutely sure before making serious accusations. She called the condominium administration. He spoke with Sandra, the administrative secretary, who took care of the bureaucratic part of the building. Good morning, Sandra. This is Jennifer Parker from apartment 804. I need a favor. I lost a very valuable earring in the lobby last week and would like to check the security camera recordings to see if I can locate the moment it fell. Would it be possible? Sandra was helpful, as always. Of course, Mrs. Parker. We can schedule for you to come here and watch the recordings. What day was it? Can you remember the approximate time? Jennifer made up a date, a week ago at the time Emma used to get home from school. It was last Tuesday, around 3 in the afternoon. I was in a hurry, and I think the earring fell off when I picked up the mail. Perfect. Can you come this afternoon? Around 5 o'clock? The manager will be here, and he can release access to the recordings for you. Jennifer confirmed. He managed to change his shift at the hospital again, claiming a personal emergency. When she arrived at the building at 5 in the afternoon, the manager, Mr. Alberto, a 60-year-old man with glasses and grey hair, received her in the administrative room. I'm sorry for the earring, Mrs. Parker. Let's see if we can find it in the images. The cameras record everything in high definition. He took her to a small room at the back of the administration, where there were monitors showing the live images from the cameras scattered around the building. There were cameras in the lobby, in the hallways, in the playground, in the garage. Mr. Alberto accessed the system and began to search for the previous week's recordings. Jennifer sat in front of the monitors, her heart beating fast. It wasn't an earring she was looking for. It was the truth. Nothing in this story happened by chance. What you are discovering here may be the missing piece to understand everything. Stay until the end, as the most surprising moment is yet to come. Jennifer spent hours watching the images in the building's meeting room during her time off at the hospital. Mr. Alberto left her alone, saying that he needed to solve some administrative issues and that she could call if she needed help. The living room was small, with grey walls, a long table and the monitors showing the different cameras in the condominium. At first, everything seemed normal. Jennifer saw Kevin greeting residents, opening doors, helping elderly people with heavy packages. He smiled, waved, talked. He seemed exactly what he always seemed to be, a dedicated and friendly employee. But then Jennifer started focusing specifically on the times Emma came home from school. 3 in the afternoon, every working day. She advanced the recordings quickly, skipping the parts where the lobby was empty or with irrelevant movement. And it was then that he noticed the pattern, a disturbing pattern that made her stomach turn. Whenever Emma passed by the concierge alone on her way home from school, Kevin would call her near the counter. Jennifer saw it happen on at least 7 different occasions throughout that week she was reviewing. 7 times. It was no coincidence. The cameras showed Kevin waving at Emma with that wide smile, inviting her to come closer. The girl, educated as she had always been taught to be, obeyed. He approached the counter, his backpack heavy on his back. Jennifer zoomed in on one of the recordings, zooming in on the image. She saw Kevin leaning over the counter, handing Emma something small, a sticker or a bullet or a keychain, something small that could fit in the palm of your hand. And then, and this made Jennifer feel nauseous, Kevin made a clear and unmistakable gesture. He placed his index finger on his own lips. The universal gesture of silence. Shh! Emma nodded obediently and quickly put the object in her backpack. Then he walked away, walking towards the elevator. But Jennifer could see, even in the black and white recording, that her daughter's shoulders were tense, that she didn't smile, that he walked too fast, as if he wanted to escape. "What was he giving my daughter?" Jennifer muttered to herself, her voice trembling. Her hands squeezed the arms of the chair so tightly that her knuckles turned white. She kept watching. It moved onto the recordings of previous days. A week ago, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Always the same pattern. Kevin calling Emma, delivering gifts, making the gesture of silence, Emma putting everything away quickly and leaving. But there was more. Jennifer noticed that on some occasions, Kevin pointed to the mail room, that most secluded area of the lobby. Emma looked around as if to check if anyone was around, and then followed Kevin there. They disappeared from the view of the main lobby camera. Jennifer searched desperately for cameras in the mailroom, but he remembered, with a heavy heart, that that area had no cameras. It was one of the few blind spots in the building's security system, and Kevin knew it. Of course he knew. He'd worked there for 6 years. He knew every inch of the condominium, every angle of the cameras, every blind spot. Jennifer continued to go through the recordings. He saw Emma leaving the mailroom a few minutes later. The pale face, the quick steps, the hand squeezing the strap of the backpack, and Kevin leaving soon after, calmly, returning to the concierge counter as if nothing had happened. She felt her stomach turn. A wave of nausea rose up her throat. He ran to the bathroom of the administrative room and vomited. His hands trembled so much that he could barely hold the sink. Tears streamed down her face. Anger, fear, guilt, all mixed into an overwhelming emotional storm. "How did I not realize before?" Jennifer whispered into the mirror, her face wet with tears and sweat. "How did I let this happen?" But there was no time to blame yourself now. I needed to continue. He needed more proof. Concrete evidence that no one could deny. He returned to the monitoring room, wiped his face with his hands and continued watching, and it was then that he realized something even more disturbing. Kevin didn't just do this with Emma. There were other children, other girls. Jennifer saw in the recordings Kevin calling 3 other girls from the building, always at the same time, between 3 and 4 in the afternoon, when most of the parents were still working and the children returned from school alone or with the nanny. There was Sophia, the Martinez's daughter, who lived on the 9th floor, an 8-year-old girl, small with dark hair and a shy smile. Kevin called her, gave her gifts, made the gesture of silence. There was Lily, the Thompson daughter, one of Sarah's girls, 10 years old, blonde, full of freckles, the same pattern, gifts, silence, isolated conversation in the mailroom. And there was another girl that Jennifer didn't know well. She must be a new resident. He appeared to be 9 years old, brown hair in pigtails, all between 8 and 10 years old, all being manipulated in the same way. Secret gifts, requests for silence, conversations in areas without cameras. Jennifer felt the anger grow inside her like wildfire. It wasn't just his daughter. Kevin was doing this with several children. Several families trusted him just as she had, and he was abusing that trust in the most vile way possible. She picked up her phone with shaky hands and took pictures of the monitor screen. Photos of Kevin making the gesture of silence. Photos of him delivering objects to the girls. Photos of him pointing to the mailroom. I needed this proof. I needed to show someone. To the police, for the other mothers, for those who were needed. When Mr. Alberto returned, Jennifer had already seen everything she needed. "Did you find the earring, Mrs. Parker?" he asked gently. Jennifer shook her head. "No, unfortunately, I didn't find it, but thank you for your help, Mr. Alberto." She left the administrative room with wobbly legs, her heart racing. I needed to go home. He needed to talk to Emma again. But now he had proof. He had evidence that he was not imagining things, that her maternal instinct was correct. That same afternoon, Jennifer waited for Emma to get home from school. She was sitting on the sofa in the living room when she heard the key turning in the lock. Emma went inside, threw her backpack on the floor of the hallway as she always did, and walked to the kitchen to get a glass of water. "Honey, come here a little bit," Jennifer called, trying to keep her voice calm and collected. Emma approached, glass of water in hand, her face with that tired expression that had become constant in recent weeks. "I need to check that you haven't forgotten anything important in your backpack," Jennifer said, trying to sound casual, as if she were just a careful mother checking her daughter's school supplies. Emma was tense immediately. His eyes widened. "There's nothing important, Mom, just my notebooks." She walked quickly to where the backpack was on the ground and hugged it to her chest, as if to protect something valuable. "Let me see just a minute, okay? I promise I'll be careful," Jennifer insisted gently, holding out her hands. He didn't want to scare Emma, but he needed to see what was inside that backpack. He needed to confirm with his own eyes. Emma hesitated. For a long moment, it seemed like he was going to refuse. But then, slowly, he handed the backpack to his mother. Jennifer opened the main zipper first. Notebooks, textbooks, a pencil case. Everything is normal. He opened the front pocket. Nothing else special. But then he opened the side pocket, that little zippered pocket where you would normally keep a little bottle of water. And there they were. 3 small plastic toys. A little princess doll, a tiny car, a teddy bear the size of a thumb, a pink heart-shaped keychain, shiny, new, and 5 mints still wrapped in green paper. Jennifer felt her heart race. His hands trembled as he held those objects. "Where did this come from, Emma?" he asked in a controlled voice, even though every fiber of his being was screaming internally. Emma began to cry. Not that loud cry of a child who falls and scrapes his knee, but that low, desperate cry of someone who carries too much weight. "Kevin gave it to me," the girl whispered between sobs. "He said that they were special gifts just for me, and that I couldn't show them to anyone because others would want them too." Jennifer knelt in front of her daughter, held her small face in her hands. "And why did you keep it, dear? Why didn't you tell me?" Emma's tears flowed faster now. "I didn't want to be with them, Mom. I didn't want to. But he insisted. He said that if I didn't accept it, he would be sad, and that I was going to hurt his feelings, and that beautiful, polite girls always accept gifts and keep secrets." Jennifer felt like she had been punched in the stomach. Manipulation, guilt, fear. Kevin was using every tactic to control an innocent child, making Emma feel that she was responsible for his feelings, that she had an obligation to accept, that saying no was wrong. "You didn't do anything wrong, my love. Nothing. Did you hear right? You are a child. Adults should not give secret gifts to children, and you're never ever forced to accept anything that makes you feel uncomfortable." Jennifer hugged her daughter tightly, feeling her small body tremble against hers. Emma cried for long minutes, clinging to her mother. When she finally calmed down a bit, Jennifer took all the objects she had taken out of her backpack and put them in a clear plastic bag. Evidence. More evidence to add to the security camera photos. Jennifer decided she needed to talk to other mums. I needed to know if they had noticed something, if his daughters had mentioned secret gifts, if there was any sign she might have missed. That afternoon, he went to the playground of the condominium. I knew that at 5 in the afternoon, after the children returned from school, several mothers would gather there while their children played. And there was Sarah Thompson, sitting on one of the benches, watching her 2 daughters play on the slide. "Sarah, can I talk to you a minute?" Jennifer came closer, her heart beating fast. Sarah smiled, always friendly. "Of course, Jennifer. Sit here. How are you? Jennifer sat down next to her, choosing her words carefully. I didn't want to look crazy or paranoid. Sarah, have you noticed anything strange about Kevin regarding the children? He asked cautiously, observing the other woman's reaction. Sarah frowned, confused. Then he laughed, a light laugh, almost dismissing the question. Strange? Kevin? He's a sweetheart, Jennifer, always so helpful. My daughters love him. Why? Did something happen? Jennifer tried to explain, measuring her words. It's just that Emma is a little uncomfortable around him, you know, and I wanted to know if you had noticed anything with Lily or Clara, some change in behavior, any comments about secret gifts or... Sarah interrupted her, shaking her head. Oh, Jennifer, I think you're working too hard, honey. Kevin has been working here for 6 years. 6 years. Everyone trusts him completely. He's like part of the family of this building. Maybe Emma is just in a difficult phase. You know how children are. Sometimes they get sly for no reason. Jennifer felt the frustration grow. But Sarah, I saw it on camera. Have you been looking at the security cameras? Sarah interrupted her again, this time with an expression of surprise mixed with concern. Jennifer, with all due respect, this seems to me a little exaggerated. Kevin is a good man. I never heard anyone complain about him. I think you should relax a bit. Maybe talk to Emma, explain that she needs to be polite to the staff in the building. Jennifer left that conversation feeling alone and misunderstood. The feeling of isolation was overwhelming. Nobody believed her. All defended Kevin. He had built a solid reputation over 6 years, and Jennifer was there, a single mother who worked too much, being seen as paranoid. He tried to talk to 2 more mothers, Rebecca Martinez, Sophia's mother, and Patricia Carvalho, mother of the brown-haired girl Jennifer had seen on camera. The reaction was similar. Kevin? Impossible. He's so sweet. You must be wrong, Jennifer. Kevin would never do anything inappropriate. Nobody wanted to believe it. No one wanted to consider the possibility that the dear Doorman, the one who always had a smile on his face and a bullet in his pocket, could be a threat. It was easier to think that Jennifer was exaggerating, that she was stressed, that she was seeing problems where there were none. But Jennifer knew what she had seen. He knew what Emma had told, and she wasn't going to give up, no matter how many people doubted her. If you're here, it's because this story deserves to be heard. I believe that what comes next will surprise you even more. Don't leave this video before you find out how it all ended. Jennifer began to watch Kevin more closely over the next 2 weeks. He changed his schedules at the hospital, exchanged shifts with colleagues, made excuses to leave early, all to be able to be in the condominium at the times Emma arrived from school. It was hidden near the side entrance, the one Emma always begged to use. From there, she had a partial view of the lobby without being easily seen. I watched. He wrote it down. He documented everything. He saw Kevin talking to Emma at least 5 times in those 2 weeks, always with that friendly smile, always with the hand touching the girl's shoulder or hair, a touch that seemed casual, paternal, harmless to anyone watching from afar. But Jennifer saw the tension in Emma's body. He saw how the girl shrank slightly when he touched her, how he looked away, how quickly he left as soon as he could. And it wasn't just Emma. Jennifer noticed that Kevin did this with 3 other girls in the building as well, all between 8 and 10 years old. The pattern was always the same. He called the girl closer. He would give some small gift. He touched his shoulder, his hair. He spoke softly, inclined, invading the child's personal space, and always made that gesture of silence. Jennifer took discreet photos with her cell phone. They weren't very clear images because I was far away and trying not to be noticed, but I could see it. It was possible to document. One day she tried to approach discreetly to listen to the conversation. She was hidden behind one of the decorative columns in the lobby, her heart racing. Kevin was talking to Emma near the counter. Jennifer approached step by step, holding her breath. But Kevin had lynx eyes. He noticed her presence immediately. He turned his head in Jennifer's direction and changed the subject instantly. "Ah, Mrs. Parker, how are you? How's the work at the hospital?" he asked loudly and cheerfully, that wide smile on his face. Jennifer forced herself to smile back. "It's going well, thank you, Kevin. Emma, shall we go home?" The girl ran towards her mother, grabbing her hand tightly. And it was at that moment that Jennifer saw it. He saw Emma's gaze, pleading eyes, desperate, silently asking for help. Jennifer knew at that moment with absolute certainty that her daughter was asking to be saved, and that she needed to act, no matter what others thought. But the 2 weeks of observation took their toll. Jennifer couldn't sleep anymore. "I stayed up all night, thinking, going through the recordings on my cell phone, looking at the photos I had taken. I couldn't eat. The stomach was always upset. The throat tightened. He lost weight quickly. At the hospital, colleagues asked if she was sick. "I'm just tired," she replied. His hands trembled constantly, while giving injections to patients, while driving, while preparing breakfast. A thin and persistent tremor that did not stop. I had crying spells in the car before entering the house. She parked in the garage of the condominium and stayed there, crying alone for 10, 15 minutes, until she managed to control herself enough to go up and face Emma. She didn't want her daughter to see her in that state. Guilt consumed her. How did I let this happen? How did I not realize before? How many times did Emma walk through that lobby alone while I was working? How many times has Kevin called her, touched her, manipulated her? The questions hammered into Jennifer's head non-stop. But along with the guilt, fear grew. Fear of being wrong, fear of ruining the life of an innocent man. What if it really was just paranoia? What if Kevin was genuinely a good person and Jennifer was playing it badly? It would be responsible for destroying someone's reputation, for ending his job, for tarnishing a name that took 6 years to build. This internal conflict tore her apart. On one side, the maternal instinct screaming that something was wrong. On the other, rational doubt, fed by the reactions of all the other mothers who did not believe in her. And then, on a Monday night, everything changed. Jennifer was in bed trying futilely to sleep when she heard screams coming from Emma's room. He jumped out of bed and ran. He found his daughter sitting, her body shaken by violent sobs, her face wet with tears and sweat. "Emma, Emma, my love, I'm here." Jennifer hugged her daughter, feeling her small body tremble uncontrollably. The nightmare had been worse than the previous ones. Emma was crying uncontrollably, barely able to breathe between her sobs. He said that if I tell... Emma tried to speak between sobs. "A very bad thing is going to happen, Mom. He said you could lose your job, that we may have to leave the building, that others will think I'm a bad child. I don't want anything bad to happen. I don't want to." Jennifer felt something break inside her. It was no longer just discomfort. It was no longer just fear. Emma was being threatened. Kevin was using scare tactics on a 9-year-old child, making her believe that telling the truth would have terrible consequences for her and her mother. "Nothing bad will happen to us, my love. Nothing, I promise. You are not to blame for anything, and I'll protect you, always." Jennifer hugged her daughter with all the strength she had, and at that moment, all doubts disappeared. It no longer mattered if others believed. It didn't matter anymore Kevin's reputation. It didn't matter anything else but protecting Emma and the other children who were going through the same thing. The next morning, as soon as Emma left for school, Jennifer picked up the phone and called the Miami police. His fingers trembled as he dialed. Her heart was beating so hard that she could hear the sound in her own ears. "Miami Police Department, how can I help?" answered a female voice on the other end. Jennifer took a deep breath. "I need to report a case involving a child. My 9-year-old daughter is being manipulated by an employee of our condominium. He gives her secret gifts, asks her not to tell anyone, touches her inappropriately, and I think there are other kids involved as well." The voice on the other end immediately became more serious, more focused. Madam, you did very well to call. I will transfer it to the unit specialized in crimes against children. Please wait on the line. Jennifer waited, her heart racing. It was only a few seconds, but it felt like hours. Then another voice answered, "This is Detective Maria Rodriguez. Are you reporting a case of child abuse?" Jennifer told everything. Emma's strange behavior that started 8 weeks ago, the tremors, the fear of passing through the gate, the nightmares. The security camera recordings show Kevin giving gifts and making the gesture of silence. The objects he had found in Emma's backpack. Her daughter's confessions about inappropriate touching, photos taken without consent, psychological threats. The other 3 girls she had seen being approached in the same way. Detective Rodriguez listened attentively, asking specific questions, jotting down details. "Mrs. Parker, you did the right thing in calling. We will investigate this immediately. I need you not to confront the suspect. Don't talk to him about it. Don't let anyone in the condo know yet. We need to do this investigation confidentially so as not to alert him. Can we come to your house this afternoon to collect your formal statement?" Yes, of course. Whenever they need it, Jennifer replied, feeling a mixture of relief and terror. Relief because finally someone was taking it seriously. Terror because now it was real. There was no turning back. A process had begun that was going to change everything. This story is not for everyone. If you are here, it is because you want to know the truth behind the facts. Are you ready for the final reveal? Miami police assigned Detective Maria Rodriguez, a woman in her 40s who specializes in crimes against children, to lead the case. 2 days after Jennifer's call, on a Wednesday morning, the detective arrived at the Sunset Towers condominium with a discreet team. They did not come with sirens or marked cars. They came in ordinary vehicles wearing civilian clothes so as not to alert Kevin or scare the residents. Jennifer was working at the hospital when she received the call. "Ms. Parker, this is Detective Rodriguez. We are at your condominium with a search warrant. We obtained court clearance to search Kevin Mitchell's apartment and access all security footage from the past 6 months. Can you come here?" Jennifer asked for urgent discharge from the hospital, invented a family emergency, and drove at high speed to the condominium. When he arrived, there were 3 unmarked cars parked in front of the building. Detective Rodriguez was waiting for her in the lobby, along with Mr. Alberto, the manager, who seemed completely confused and worried. "What's going on, Mrs. Parker?" Mr. Albert asked, his eyes wide behind his glasses. "The police are saying that there is an investigation involving Kevin. That can't be right. Kevin has worked here for 6 years, I know," Jennifer interrupted, her voice firm despite her hands shaking. "But sometimes, Mr. Alberto, people are not who they seem to be." Detective Rodriguez took Jennifer to the administrative room. "Ms. Parker, my team is searching Kevin Mitchell's apartment right now. He lives in a unit at the back of the building, provided by the condominium as part of the work package, correct?" Jennifer confirmed. Kevin lived in a small 1-bedroom apartment in the back, a unit that the condominium offered to the doorman who worked full-time. He was there at that moment, working at the concierge counter, unaware that his life was about to fall apart. 2 hours passed. Harrowing hours in which Jennifer stayed in the administrative room, drinking cold coffee, wringing her hands, trying not to imagine what the police were finding. Detective Rodriguez came and went, talking on the phone, coordinating the team. And then Jennifer's phone rang. It was Detective Rodriguez calling from inside Kevin's apartment. "Mrs. Parker, I need you to come here. There's something you need to see." Jennifer walked to the back of the building with wobbly legs. She went up to Kevin's apartment, which was on the ground floor, in a separate annex. When he entered, he saw policemen with gloves going through drawers, cabinets, checking every corner. And then he saw what they had found. A computer was on the living room table, the open screen showing folders and more folders of files. Detective Rodriguez put her hand on Jennifer's shoulder. "Before showing, I need to warn you that the images are disturbing. Are you sure you want to see it? Jennifer nodded, even though every fiber of her being wanted to run away. I needed to know. He needed to see it with his own eyes. The detective opened one of the folders. There were hundreds of photos, hundreds. Photos of children from the condominium. Emma was there, Sophia, Lily, the brown-haired girl, and others that Jennifer didn't even know. Photos taken without their knowledge or that of their families. Some were just normal photos from afar of the girls playing on the playground, but others were at strange, disturbing angles, close up of the legs, the faces, taken when the children were distracted. Jennifer felt her legs fail. The detective supported her, helping her to sit in a chair. "There's more," Rodriguez said in a deep voice. "We found a diary." Kevin described his interactions with each girl, with details, including Emma. Jennifer did not want to read the diary. I couldn't. Just knowing that it existed was already too much. The detective continued to explain. "There is enough evidence here to arrest Kevin Mitchell immediately. Production and storage of inappropriate material involving minors. Harassment. Multiple victims. He did not physically hurt any of the children as far as we could ascertain. We arrived on time, but the psychological trauma is evident." Jennifer began to cry. He cried with relief, horror, anger, guilt, all at the same time. There were hundreds of photos, months, maybe years of predatory behavior, and no one had noticed. Everyone trusted Kevin. Everyone thought he was wonderful. Detective Rodriguez put her hand on her shoulder again. "Mrs. Parker, you did the right thing. You saved these children. If I hadn't acted, it could have escalated to something much worse." Jennifer could barely process the words. All he could think about was Emma. Every time her daughter had passed through the lobby alone. In all the times Jennifer had trusted Kevin to keep an eye on the girl, on how naive she had been. 15 minutes later, Detective Rodriguez made a call. "They can bring the suspect." The voice was firm, professional. Jennifer saw through the window of the apartment when two plainclothes police officers approached Kevin at the concierge counter. She saw the confusion on his face. He saw when they showed him the badges and told him to accompany them. Detective Rodriguez called Jennifer at that moment, the call that would change everything. "Ms. Parker, we have found enough evidence to arrest Kevin Mitchell. He is being detained at this moment." Jennifer fell to her knees right there in the living room of Kevin's apartment. The tears flowed non-stop. It was real. It was happening. Kevin was going to pay for what he did. Kevin Mitchell was arrested in the lobby of the condominium in front of dozens of residents who began to gather when they noticed the strange movement. Police cars, now marked, arrived to take the detainee. The sirens drew attention. People came out of the apartments, curious, scared, not understanding what was happening. Jennifer was there, with Emma protected behind her. She had picked up her daughter from school earlier, explained that something important was happening, brought her home. Emma was scared, confused, but Jennifer held her hand firmly. "You are safe now, my love. Mommy's here." The officers put the handcuffs on Kevin. The metallic noise echoed through the marble lobby. Jennifer saw his face change, the mask of sympathy falling, his eyes wide, desperate. "You're making a mistake. I never did anything wrong. That's absurd," Kevin shouted, trying to sound outraged, trying to keep up the facade. Her voice echoed through the lobby, desperate. "You don't understand. I was just being kind to the kids. I've always been kind." Jennifer stepped forward. Emma was hiding behind her, clinging to her mother's skirt. Jennifer looked straight into Kevin's eyes, those eyes that had always seemed so friendly and that now showed panic and anger. "I know what you did to my daughter," Jennifer said in a firm, strong voice, a voice that didn't tremble despite all the fear and anger she felt. "And with the other girls, you will no longer get close to any children. Never again." Kevin tried to defend himself, his voice rising an octave. "Jennifer, you're crazy. I have always treated Emma with affection. I always treated all the children with—" "Silence," Detective Rodriguez interrupted firmly. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court. You have the right to a lawyer." While the detective read Kevin's rights, Mr. Alberto appeared carrying 2 boxes. Inside were the security cameras, the hard drives with months of recordings, evidence, everything being taken as evidence. Kevin saw the boxes and his face collapsed. The mask finally fell completely. He knew it was over. "I knew I had too much evidence." The cameras had captured everything. His apartment had revealed everything. There was no denying it. There was no escape. He was taken away under cries of revolt from neighbors who now understood the gravity of the situation. "Monster!" someone shouted. "How could you?" Another voice echoed. The villagers who had once blindly trusted Kevin now looked at him with disgust and horror. Sarah Thompson, the mother who hadn't believed Jennifer, rushed over. I was crying. Lily, her 10-year-old daughter, was next to her, also in tears. "Jennifer, forgive me, please," Sarah said between sobs. "I should have listened to you. I should have. Lily told me today." After that, the police started asking questions. She also, "My daughter too." Sarah couldn't finish the sentence. He broke down in tears. Jennifer hugged the other woman, the two crying together. "It wasn't your fault," Jennifer whispered. "He deceived everyone. He was very good at hiding who he really was." In the following minutes, other mothers approached. Rebecca Martinez, with Sophia hiding behind her. Patricia Carvalho, holding the hand of her brown-haired daughter, all in tears. All discovering at the same time that their daughters had also been victims, that Kevin had manipulated not just one, but several children, and that no one had noticed because he was very, very good at keeping up appearances. Jennifer looked around, seeing the pain on each mother's face, but he also saw something else. He saw determination, he saw anger, he saw courage born from tragedy. They had been deceived, but now they knew the truth. And together they were going to make sure their daughters received all the support they needed to recover. Detective Rodriguez approached Jennifer before leaving. "You saved these children, Mrs. Parker. I know it doesn't seem that way now, in the midst of all this. But you did the right thing. Many mothers would have ignored the signs. They would have let the fear of being wrong prevent the action. But the lady trusted her instinct, and that made all the difference." Jennifer just nodded, unable to speak. She held Emma tighter, her daughter trembling against her. "Before we continue, help bring real stories to those who really care. If you want to be part of this mission, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell." Over the next few days, the investigation revealed the full extent of what Kevin had done. It wasn't just 4 or 5 girls. There were 7. 7 children from the Sunset Towers condominium that Kevin had manipulated over the course of 3 years. Detective Rodriguez explained everything to Jennifer in a meeting a few days later. Kevin Mitchell started this behavior about 3 years ago. It started slowly, just watching, only being the legal gatekeeper. Little by little he tested limits, giving small gifts, seeing which children were more vulnerable, which had parents who worked a lot and spent a lot of time alone. All the victims were girls between 7 and 10 years old. Emma, at 9, was in the middle of that spectrum. There were 2 girls of 7 years old, 3 8-year-olds, 1 9-year-old, and 1 10-year-old. They had all received secret gifts. All had been photographed without knowledge or consent. All had been touched inappropriately. Not sexually, but by invading personal space, touching hair, shoulders, backs, in ways that made the children uncomfortable. And most disturbingly, none had been physically injured in a more serious way. Kevin had been calculating. He knew exactly how far he could go without leaving physical marks. He knew how to manipulate psychologically without crossing certain lines that would make him be discovered more quickly. I was gradually climbing, testing, preparing. "If you hadn't acted when you did," Detective Rodriguez said seriously, "it's very likely that Kevin would have escalated to more serious abuse. Predators like it start slowly and increase in gravity over time. You arrived on time. None of these children were physically injured beyond what we have already reported." Jennifer felt relief and horror at the same time. Relief because it had prevented something worse. Horror because even what had already happened was terrible enough. The families gathered in a special assembly in the condominium's party room. All 7 affected families were there. The manager had called an emergency meeting to explain what had happened and decide on the next steps. It was a meeting full of emotion. Mothers cried. Parents were visibly shaken. The children were not present. They had stayed at home with nannies or relatives, but the parents' pain for them was palpable. Jennifer was recognized as the mother who had the courage to act. "You saved our daughters," said Rebecca Martinez, Sophia's mother, who was sitting next to Jennifer. "If you hadn't investigated, if you hadn't called the police, I don't even want to think about what could have happened." The other mothers agreed. Some apologized for not believing them when Jennifer tried to warn them. "I called you paranoid," Sarah Thompson said, her voice breaking. "Said you were working too hard and you were trying to protect our daughters." Jennifer shook her head. "You don't have to apologize. Kevin fooled everyone. He built a reputation over 6 years specifically so that no one would suspect. He was very good at what he did." The manager, Mr. Alberto, was visibly shaken. He felt responsible for having hired Kevin without doing a more rigorous background check. "Kevin had no criminal record when we hired him," he explained in a heavy voice. "Passed all routine checks. There was nothing in his record that indicated danger." But now everyone knew that background checks weren't enough. First-time predators did not appear in criminal history searches. More was needed, much more. The mothers decided to form a mutual support group, weekly meetings where they could share how their daughters were coping with trauma, exchange information about expert therapists, support each other. "No mother should have to go through this alone," Patricia Carvalho said, "and our daughters are going to need a lot of support in the months and years ahead." All 7 children began specialized therapy for childhood trauma. Jennifer found an excellent psychologist, Dr. Amanda Rivers, who works specifically with child victims of manipulation and abuse. Emma started doing sessions twice a week. The condominium manager implemented new security policies immediately. Rigorous background checks for all employees, including verification of personal and professional references. Security cameras were installed in all common areas, including the mailroom that was previously a blind spot. And most importantly, a clear protocol was created. No employee should ever be alone with a child in an isolated area. Never. These changes should have been implemented from the beginning, Mr. Alberto sadly admitted. But at least now, let's make sure that never happens here again. The changes went beyond the Sunset Towers. Kevin Mitchell's case gained attention from the local media. Reports on the importance of rigorous checks in condominiums, schools, any place frequented by children. Jennifer was interviewed by a local newspaper, her identity protected, talking about the importance of trusting the maternal instinct. "If something seems wrong, investigate," she said in the interview. "It doesn't matter how many people say you're overreacting. It doesn't matter if the person has a good reputation. If your mother's instinct is screaming that something is wrong, investigate. Act. New laws have begun to be proposed in the city of Miami and Coral Gables, requiring strict criminal background checks for all employees who work in places frequented by children. Condominiums, schools, sports clubs all began to review their security policies. Jennifer has become an active voice in child protection groups. She participated in lectures in schools, talked to other mothers, shared her story to help other families recognize danger signs. "Predators don't have a specific face," she said in each lecture. "They hide behind sympathetic smiles, impeccable reputations, and years of built trust. But our maternal instinct exists for a reason, and ignoring it can be too costly." The Sunset Towers Moms Support Group continued to meet weekly. They shared their daughters' small victories. The day Sophia managed to get through the lobby without shaking. The day Lily returned to play in the playground without fear. The day Patricia's daughter asked if she could invite a friend to play at home, showing that she was starting to trust again. Every small victory was celebrated. Every step in recovery was recognized. And together, these mothers created a network of protection and support that went far beyond the condominium. They became activists, defenders, warriors for child safety. Jennifer learned that being a mother wasn't just about loving. It was to protect with courage, even when the whole world doubted. It was trusting one's own instinct, even when everyone said it was wrong. It was fighting for children, even when the fight seemed impossible. And above all, she learned that a mother who acts, a mother who trusts what she feels, can change not only her own daughter's life, but the lives of many other children as well. Emma began therapy sessions twice a week with Dr. Amanda Rivers, a child psychologist specializing in trauma, who had a practice in Coral Gables. At first, it was extremely difficult. The girl had frequent nightmares, waking up screaming almost every night. I was afraid to leave the house, afraid to see people, afraid even to pass through the lobby of the building itself. Jennifer stayed with her in every therapy session. He held his daughter's hand, wiped her tears, encouraged her to speak. "You are brave, my love. You are so brave. And it's safe here. No one will hurt you." But with the support of Jennifer and the therapist, Emma gradually began to talk about what had happened. He began to put into words the confused feelings he had kept for so long. Fear, the shame, the guilt I shouldn't feel but felt anyway. In a particularly difficult session, about 6 weeks after Kevin's arrest, Emma was finally able to verbalize everything. Jennifer was sitting next to her, holding her hand. Dr. Rivers, a 50-year-old woman with a soft voice and gentle eyes, asked calmly, "Emma, can you tell me how you felt when Kevin called you?" Emma looked at her mother, asking for silent permission. Jennifer nodded, shaking her hand. "You can talk, honey. It's okay." And then Emma spoke. "He made me feel special," the girl said in a low voice, looking at her own hands. "He said I was the most beautiful girl in the building, that I was different from the others, that we had a secret of our own. And in the beginning I liked to feel special, but it also scared me, Mom." Tears began to stream down Emma's face. "I didn't understand what was wrong. He was kind, gave gifts, smiled, but my body knew. My body got hard when he touched my hair. My stomach ached when he called me into the mailroom. My heart was beating fast, but not in a good way. In a scared way." Jennifer cried along with her daughter. He cried in pain for everything Emma had been through, but he also cried with pride. Proud of her daughter's courage to speak out, proud that Emma had kept those feelings, that instinctive knowing that something was wrong, even without fully understanding what it was. "My brave daughter," Jennifer said, hugging Emma tightly. "You did right to keep those feelings. Your body was protecting you, I was warning you, and now we are here to heal together. You don't have to carry it alone anymore." The therapy continued, week after week, session after session. Dr. Rivers used specialized techniques to help Emma process the trauma. Drawings, therapeutic games, conversations adapted to a child's language. Gradually, Emma opened up more, released the pain, began to understand that nothing that happened was her fault. 3 months after Kevin's arrest, Jennifer saw something she hadn't seen in a long time. Emma really smiled. Not that forced, polite smile he had worn for so long, but a genuine smile, which lit up his entire face and reached his eyes. It was on a Saturday morning. They were having breakfast on the balcony of the apartment, enjoying the Miami sun. Emma was telling about a game she had played at school with her friends, and then, in the middle of the story, she laughed, a loud, free, joyful laugh, and he smiled. Jennifer felt her heart tighten with emotion. His daughter was coming back. The cheerful and confident girl that Emma had always been was emerging again from the trauma. There was still a long way to go, but that smile was proof that healing was possible. Meanwhile, the court case against Kevin Mitchell was moving forward. He was formally charged with multiple counts of harassment of minors, production and storage of inappropriate material involving children, and psychological manipulation of minors. The evidence was overwhelming. The photos on the computer, the detailed diary, the recordings of the security cameras, the testimonies of 7 families, the children's own reports collected by specialized psychologists in a careful and appropriate way. Kevin tried to defend himself. He hired a lawyer who tried to argue that he was just a kind employee who liked children, that those present were innocent, that the photos were just memories, but no jury would believe this in the face of so much evidence. 6 months after his arrest, Kevin Mitchell was convicted. Jennifer was in court on the day of the sentencing, along with the other mothers. They sat together next to each other, united. When the judge announced the sentence, 12 years in a federal penitentiary, followed by permanent registration as a sex offender that would prohibit him from working with children for the rest of his life, Jennifer felt a weight off his shoulders. Justice had been done. Kevin could never do that to any child again. I would never again have access to vulnerable girls. Never again could he use a position of trust to manipulate and cause harm. The mothers hugged each other, crying with relief. It did not bring back lost time. It did not erase the trauma that her daughters had suffered, but it was a closure. It was confirmation that they had done the right thing, that his daughters had been believed, that justice, even if slow, had prevailed. Jennifer learned that day that being a mother was much more than she imagined. It wasn't just loving, packing, feeding. It was to protect with a ferocity that she didn't know she had. It was fighting against systems that sometimes do not believe. It was trusting one's own instinct, even when everyone around said it was wrong. It was having the courage to act, even with fear, even with doubts, because the daughter's safety always came first. 6 months have passed since the day Kevin Mitchell was arrested in the lobby of the Sunset Towers condominium. Jennifer Parker is standing on the balcony of the apartment, watching Emma play in the renovated playground of the building below. The girl runs free, laughing with the other children, without fear, without trembling, without looking back, checking who is watching. Jennifer feels a mixture of deep relief and immense pride filling her chest. The girl who once trembled with fear every time she passed through the entrance now runs free, knowing that she is safe, protected, and believed. The recovery journey was not easy. There were endless nights of crying, difficult therapy sessions where Emma relived painful moments, and moments when Jennifer wondered if she had done everything right, if she had acted fast enough, if she could have avoided all that suffering. But looking at Emma today, seeing that genuine smile on her daughter's face, she knows with absolute certainty that every decision, every step, every moment of courage was worth it. Kevin Mitchell's case shocked the entire Coral Gables community and sparked significant changes in residential communities throughout Miami. New laws have been proposed in the City Council, requiring strict criminal background checks for all employees working in places frequented by children. Condominiums, schools, clubs all began to implement stricter safety and supervision protocols. Jennifer has become an active voice in child protection groups, sharing her story in lectures and meetups to help other mothers recognize danger signs. She learned, and now teaches other mothers, that predators don't have a specific face. They hide behind sympathetic smiles, impeccable reputations, and years of meticulously built trust. But she also learned and shares with passion that the maternal instinct exists for a deep reason, and that ignoring it can be too costly. Emma today, at 10 years old, is much better. She still goes to therapy once a week, but the nightmares stopped 3 months ago. She returned to being the cheerful, confident, and full-of-life girl she always was. The relationship between mother and daughter grew even stronger, cemented by the ordeal they went through together. Emma knows now, for sure, that she can tell her mother anything, and that she will always be believed, always protected, always loved unconditionally. Jennifer teaches her daughter a fundamental lesson daily. Secrets that make you feel bad should not be kept, and no adult, no matter who they are, has the right to ask a child for silence. Kevin Mitchell is serving his 12-year sentence in a federal penitentiary, and when he gets out, he will never be able to work with children again. His name will be permanently registered as a sex offender, a mark he will carry for the rest of his life. The other 6 affected families are also in the process of healing, united by the trauma, but also by the collective strength of mothers who have not given up. The new doorman at the Sunset Towers condominium is a 62-year-old woman named Martha, who has undergone rigorous background checks and is constantly supervised by renewed safety protocols. This story is a powerful reminder to all the mothers who accompany us. Trust your gut. If something seems wrong, investigate. If your daughter shows signs of discomfort, believe her without hesitation. No matter how many people tell you that you are exaggerating, no matter how many years of reputation a person has, the safety and well-being of our children always comes first. Jennifer saved not only Emma but several other children because she had the courage to act when everyone doubted. A minute of courage can change everything, and being a mother is being a warrior, protector, and voice of those who are still learning to speak for themselves. And if you liked this story and want to continue discovering exciting stories that touch the heart and make us reflect on protection, courage, and maternal love, don't leave now. The next video that is appearing on your screen will thrill you even more. They are true stories of mothers who face the impossible and won. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Every story we share can save a child. It can open a mother's eyes. It can make a difference in a family's life. A big hug from all my heart, and see you in the next exciting story.